What?
Okay, I guess now our mics are on. Okay.
I didn't know my mic was ever on.
Yeah.
Okay, consideration of the September minutes. Any thoughts, comments, changes, corrections?
I
Nobody?
have a motion to approve.
Okay, do I hear a second? Is that-
Second.
Second? All right, no other discussion? You were shaking your head, that just means, okay.
Fine.
All right, so all in favor of the minutes of whenever that was, September 11th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to something that is not on the agenda tonight? Good, because we can move on. So the first thing is a public hearing to review site plan to replace exterior lights for the Central Lake County Joint Action Water Agency at 200 Rockland Road. We did a peek at some of this last month. No, I guess those were vents.
Right, yeah.
So this is a public hearing, so I will open a public hearing, and you're here to talk about it.
Yes. Would you like me to do a presentation? You want to just fire away with
I gotta
questions?
swear you in.
Okay.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and the testimony you're about to give? If so, say I do.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Now you can go.
Okay. My name's Bill Susi. I'm the Operations Director at the Central Lake County Joint Action Water Agency. We desire to replace our parking, driveway, and walkway lighting with LED fixtures. Specifically, we're seeking to replace 6 high-pressure sodium 150-watt street lights and 61 metal halide 100-watt bollard lights. The orange high-pressure sodium lamps would be replaced with 71-watt LED lamps that cast 45% less lumens at a 4,000 Kelvin natural white light on a much more focused area. With regards to the 61 bollard lights, we requested the replacement of our existing fixtures with 15 to 30 watt LED light fixtures that are rated for 86% less lumens than we currently have. And the light would be on a more focused fixture, a more focused area, I'm sorry. Ms. Russ forwarded to Mr. Renner for his informed opinion about what we've proposed. And I thought that perhaps some of his comments that I received this morning make a nice structure for discussion of this topic. And I will summarize what was shared with me this morning for brevity. He stated there are 6 HID pole head replacements with LEDs, and they look nice and have a good cutoff. Number 2, he stated CLC Jawa has not selected a full cutoff model, which will make the bollards look like points of light around the site. I suggest a different, nicer looking bollard that has a full cutoff for light pollution and glare, the GuardCo Pure Form model. His third comment was the current energy code requires outdoor lighting to be 50% dim during non-business hours, and that we should select that feature for our poles and bollards. And his fourth comment was the photometrics look fine to me. So I'd like to address these 4 items if I could. Number 1, we agree that the LED pole replacements look nice. Number 2, we concur with Mr. Renner that CLC Jawa did not select full cutoff bollards. Our selection of the model BRM 830, which was shown in the packet that Mr. Croak provided you, was based on the significant improvement they offered over the existing bollards in light control and energy efficiency. And we also preferred the 8-inch diameter bollard body for its appearance and for its robustness in resisting snow plow curl that we have in our parking lot. With that said, however, we've spent this afternoon reviewing the model PBL that he suggested and come to the conclusion that though it is physically less robust, we do not object to specifying this bollard for the reasons that he indicated. Namely, that there is no backlight, no uplight, and no glare from the fixtures he recommended. This fixture will eliminate the points of light that he references on our property. The third comment that he offered, I'd like to address, and that is about dimming our lights during non-business hours. The model lighting ordinance provided by Mr. Renner calls for reduced lighting after business hours. As you know, CLC Jawa is not a business as such. We're a regional water provider that is staffed 24 hours per day. Our night shift operators are tasked with monitoring the facility and grounds in person and via low light level cameras. Existing low light levels are required for cameras and have been a security and safety concern for our nighttime staff. I'll give you an instance of a story. At our raw water pumping station, where we have virtually no light, we had a night operator go out in December, and they do this by themselves. He stepped in what he thought was a puddle and found himself immersed up to his chest in 32-degree water. He was able to get out, but it's this sort of action and a concern about walking around our grounds on their own and having such low light levels that we prefer not to dim our lights or turn them off during non-business hours. Also, since 9/11, security has changed around our facility, as you have observed, undoubtedly, with our fencing and that. Water treatment industry has established a standard called the Security Practices for Operation and Maintenance Management Standards, and these have been published and approved by the American National Standards Institute. These standards and best practices in my industry call for very light perimeter lighting. We're not asking for that. We're just asking not to dim or turn our lights off at night. Because the proposed illumination of our site will be reduced, because we have heard no objection to the current lighting at our site, because of employee safety and security, because of our camera surveillance requirements, and finally, because of industry best practices, we respectfully request not to dim the lighting or turn off the lighting at our site during the night. Finally, Mr. Renner was satisfied with our photometric study. The village requested that we conduct this study of our existing and proposed lighting. In summary, you'll note that the lighting levels are not increased with our newly proposed fixtures. I do want to point out one thing, however. In the photometric studies that you're looking at today, those included the original bollards that we had proposed, not the ones that Mr. Renner has recommended. However, the ones that he have recommended actually have less luminosity than the ones we had proposed. So I believe that photometric study is still appropriate. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. As usual, everything we ever wanted to know, you just did. So,
And more, right?
Carol, any thoughts?
Sure. I believe Brian referenced the existing energy code when he,
He provided a model code. I don't know if you've adopted that in Lake Bluff or not.
As far as dimming lights at night, there is an exception for security lighting in the code that would apply here.
yes, you are definitely a very secure site.
Mhm.
And I would also like to say that it's very unusual to step outside and ask another person to look at. I know you had an engineer working on this,
Mhm.
Brian Renner, as you probably know from your discussions today, is a practicing electrical energy
Mhm.
engineer, and he's very green. He heads
Mhm.
up our sustainability committee. So that's why I asked him about it, because I was concerned about the cutoffs.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking you two both explored it. You know, I didn't see from your initial submission that we were looking at 45% less lumens in the new proposal. I don't think I got that at all.
Yes.
I thought it said somewhere you were trying to maintain the existing level.
Maintain or reduce.
Well, this is a definite reduction.
Mhm.
It's not a maintenance, so that's a great step forward. I am very concerned about the proliferation of light pollution, as it's termed, so.
Mhm.
And actually, my experience with you is that you try very hard to do the right thing.
Yeah, we
so
do.
I felt emboldened to look into it a little more. I think the last 2 times you came in was because you were volunteering to do some sound attenuation, which is very impressive. So
Mhm.
I think my questions are answered, and I was glad to learn a little bit from this. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed?
It all makes sense to me, and it looks good, so I concur with Carol.
Neil?
I like the luminaire, and I like the bollard, and would like to thank Carol, because it says here that it came from Carol Rust to Brian Renner. Thank you, Carol. And I think the color is going to be just fine of the lights, 4,000K.
Yes, sir.
5,000 is just about sunlight, and these lights are probably about a little less than 3,000. So you're kind of in between, and that's fine with me. So other than that, I'm pleased with this. I think it's a good change.
Okay.
Good, and I'm gonna concur with everything, and I gotta admit, I've never seen this Guardco fixture, and that's really a slick little deal.
Oh, you
I'll
like
be
that?
anxious to see how that works, because no matter what you do, you've always seen some sort of a glow or light source or on the
Right.
other bollards. No, so I think that's great, and I would concur that you should not be dimming and turning off your lights, given your peculiar situation out there in terms of security, so. Anybody else have anything else to say, then we entertain a motion.
I'll move the lighting proposals by Java be approved as submitted.
Second?
Second?
Okay, roll call, please, Mike?
Member Russ,
Aye.
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
Member Deegan,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Aye. Roll calls take short time.
Yep.
Do you want these
Okay,
back?
so the recommendation is approved, and then they'll go to village board for final approval.
Okay. Thank you. And
Thank
if you
you.
don't
Thank you.
mind, I'm going to head home and watch the Cubs beat the
Hurry.
Rockies.
Do you want these back for the village board?
Sure.
Okay, where'd my agenda go? This is my, what happened to my agenda?
It's the bottom page. There it is.
Okay, next, consideration of sign permit application for Lake Bluff Middle School and District 65 office at 31 and 121 East Sheridan Place. Hi.
Hi, I'm Jay Kahn. I'm the Director of Finance and Operations for Bluff School District. We moved into our district office about 2 years ago, and since that time, we've had, many visitors have had difficulty finding the office, although there are large letters on the side of the building. They're obscured by trees when you are driving east down Sheridan Place. And many people park in the main lot and then go into the front of the school, and we want to direct them, I'm going to put in 2 signs to direct them to the administrative office. So you should have copies of the signs that were designed. One would be placed to the left of the main entrance of the school, directing people either to the school entrance or to the administrative office, and the other sign would be placed on the district property, just outside the district office, so that you could see it from Sheridan Place.
Yeah, we have 6 different signs in our packet.
So
what
the
are we
top
looking at?
4 are just, the top 4 are different options for the sign number 1, so we can select one of those 4 to be the sign. They just gave us some slight variations. The bottom sign is a 2-sided sign, so it's just both sides of the one sign. So the sign directing people either to the school or to the administrative office is one-sided to be viewed from the parking lot, and we are able to choose from any of the 4 options above. And then the 2 sides of the sign on the bottom are just the 2 sides of the sign that would be out in front of the district office. It would be able to be viewed from either side, from either parking lot. So we were going to, if you have a preference for any of the top 4, you can let me know, or we were going to just, I think our administrative team liked number 6 the best.
I guess one question I have is the idea is to get people going to the district offices to go in the one door, with people going into the school's principal's offices to go into the school entrance.
Correct.
And I'm not sure people would understand it by the word administrative offices. If I didn't know better, and I was walking up to the school and wanted to find the principal's office, I'd be going to the administrative offices.
Well, when we tell people come to the administrative office, I mean, that's the lettering that's on the building, so it would be consistent with the current sign that's on the building, and that's a common term in the district to refer to that office as the administrative office.
I know it is with you guys, but it isn't with, I don't think it is with the majority of the public. But anyway, these are directional signs, and I really don't have any problem with them. And I think you guys may or may not have a problem with people misinterpreting what it means. That's something you deal with when the time comes.
Ed?
I don't have any issues with the signs. I have a child there right now, so, so I'm so familiar with the school, it's not an issue with me, but, makes sense, so.
Carol?
Yeah, I like number 6 too, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
But now Neil's got me confused. Now I'm going to wonder about that. So I think it's fine as presented, and your preference is fine with me.
Okay.
Or any preference, actually, they're all fine signs.
Well, just to follow that up, I think if you put them in and it works, that's great. If it doesn't, underneath school entrance, you just put the words principal's office and that way.
Yeah.
Go to the principal's office. Okay.
Most people are there either for the school or for the, for the main administrative services, so.
Actually, it's really not our job to talk about content, but I think it's a good point. But if you haven't had a problem with it, it's,
I'll raise that with our superintendent and see what she says. I was trying to be consistent with the signage that was already on the property,
Yeah.
so.
okay. I agree with number 6, so somebody want to make a motion, one way or the other?
Sure, I would move that they select whichever sign they prefer. I do prefer 6, but I think they're all fine, so as presented, I think are we recommending?
No, we have final approval.
Okay, then I go for approval.
Second?
Second,
Okay. Roll call?
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
Member Deegan,
aye.
Member Russ,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Aye. Okay.
They're approved.
We'll
Thank
go
you.
over there and it's done and see if I get lost. Okay, next is consideration of sign permit application for 917 Sherwood Drive.
Hello.
Ah, there we are. Okay. Your time to talk.
Okay, want me to swear to tell the truth? I will promise to tell the truth.
No, this is not a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking the time, and I'll be brief. My associate, Jack McKinney, was here at the last meeting. This village has been terrifically helpful to us in this building, which has taken a while. I've been involved with it for more than 10 years. We have the 2 wall signs for the 2 big tenants, which was very gracious of the village to approve, as well as the work we did in taking the detention pond out and putting in parking. That's enabled us to get this building 100% leased. Our 4 tenants are Lake Forest Pediatrics, North Shore Pediatric Therapy, Westmoreland OB-GYN, and the last one is ophthalmologist. And the reason I'm back tonight is at the last meeting, the rendering of signage that we had presented was struck, was not approved, and the board requested a sign that when we put the rendering together and brought it to the eye doctor, just felt, the sign vendor and the eye doctor felt it's just too small to help. The whole point is to make it easily identifiable, especially for elderly, visually impaired people, to have numbers on the building. So kind of different than a wall sign of a name, but understanding it has to be aesthetically pleasing. It's really a functionality issue. People that have eye problems are coming to an ophthalmologist, so want to make it visible. So we're respectfully requesting, and Mike gave us some good guidance here, no recommendations, but guidance. If we would make the full sign 68 inches, which is the length of the window, making the letters a little bit bigger, they would be, I believe, 20 inch instead of 15 with 4-inch spaces. We believe that's going to be a lot more functional for people seeing it. We hope it's not too large, and we're asking if you would consider that revised rendering.
Neil, where are you?
I like the one at 53 inches. That's it.
Oh, okay, Ed?
So just to be clear, the one that we had talked about last time in that meeting was the first rendering,
15,
which is the total of
15,
53.
right.
Yeah, and then they're upping it, basically the letters are going from 15 to 20,
Yes.
so they're 5 inches taller. So in that exactly is the height of the upper windows, is that correct?
Pretty close. I don't
Pretty
want to
close,
say to the
yeah.
millimeter, but that was
Yeah.
trying to make it more pleasing, to make it fit in that space
Okay.
of approximately 68 inches.
Carol, what do you think?
I think we did a second variance for this building and a third variance for this building, and this is, number 4 and, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, on the way
We're done,
out.
ma'am. This is just for numbers to make it identifiable for people with eye issues. That's
I know,
yeah.
we approved your proposal last time, and thought we did a good job when we discussed it last time. You may be dissatisfied with it, but I'm not dissatisfied with the decision that we made.
Bob?
I was curious about the distance study that was done, 100 feet to 100, what was it, 150 feet?
And I'm not denying that a person with good eyesight can see it. We're dealing with a lot of folks that have visual impairment, so we're trying to make the building easy to find. That's the point, and we felt that the numbers, we probably won't do them because they're too small, but we appreciate the chance to come up here and ask again, and we'll accept whatever you all choose.
Well, I have to go along with everybody else. I think we went through all sorts of variations last time, and if somebody can't see that badly, they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be driving. But in any event, what is this, a recommendation?
It is a recommendation, yeah.
So if the village board wants to override us, they have that ability.
Mhm.
I thought my recollection was that we had kicked around the idea of 18 as an option.
We had almost inch incrementals from 24
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, okay.
You want to entertain that?
I'm just throwing it out there, but it sounds like Carol is pretty steadfast on just maintaining the 53, so, and so does Neil, so, if they don't wanna entertain an adjustment, then it is what it is.
I guess my feeling on the 53 was based on, as much as anything, on the diagrams of where you could see it from. And the smaller size is very visible to be able to see it that much further down the road didn't seem to me to be of any benefit.
Carol, you want to stick with your 15? You want to think about 18, or?
I wouldn't, I mean, to me, the compromise would be going 18, and then, I get the number of variances and all that stuff, but I'm trying to hear what he's saying and what they need, so.
I think you're being nice on the way out last time. I said, just because somebody asked me for $50 doesn't mean I have to split the difference and give them 25, you know? I mean, we actually had this discussion, and, you know, probably what should happen here, and we have touched upon this before, when we talked about our industrial park becoming more of a retail center rather than a warehouse assembly, that the signage demands might be possibly different, but I don't subscribe to the notion of building as billboard, which is where this building is clearly heading. And I think my comments from last time are just as apt. If you let this building have every tenant all over the wall, and, you know, we've
Ma'am,
already done a third variance.
We really appreciate the second sign, and we never, that was very nice of the village to give, the building's 100% leased. This is an address marker for people to find it more easily, especially patients of an ophthalmology practice.
Which is why we
That's why we're here.
agreed to it readily. You know, the second sign we kind of got blackmailed into by your tenant, being told that the landlord had promised it in the lease, and we had to do it.
That was, I can tell you personally, I told them, my words were, there's no guarantee, you may or may not get a second sign. The board made it very clear you have to ask. They misrepresented. I'm sorry they
Okay.
did that.
And
We never told them that.
I'm really glad to hear that, because while it's our obligation to review signs, it's not always a case of, I've said this before too, you know, everybody sort of hopes their sign will be bigger and brighter and better than anybody else's, because that's the purpose of signage.
So you've never driven by someone's house and been frustrated that you can't find the number? Because I've had that experience before.
Absolutely.
So that's all this is about. This has nothing to do with wall signs. There will be no more tenants. And we don't want to put up a wall sign that's so small that it makes the person with bad vision feel even worse about their vision. We just want to make the building easy to identify, and I hear where this is going. We appreciate the chance to ask for your consideration again. You know, we're just trying to make the building easy to find. There's no advertising, there's no neon, but I respect that, you know, you guys don't want a number on the building. It is on the directory. We're just trying to make our tenant happy.
And I was not, in fact, dissatisfied with giving you a third variance on this building, and I thought we did a good job doing the number, and now we have documentation that says we did a good job doing the number. So, you know, I'd really like to say I think we did a good job.
You want to stay with the 15 and 4. Ed is suggesting a compromise. Neil
18.
looks like, I don't
Yeah.
know what Neil
Yeah,
wants to
I'm
do.
just one vote, but I'm going to vote no for going bigger.
I'd be fine with going 18.
I'd like 53.
You like what?
I like the 53 inch
53,
signs.
that number
That's
hangs
Well,
well with you? Okay, I'm okay with either one, so, which is
Shall I
where
make
we
a
got
motion?
4 people here, so we need a motion.
I move we approve the 53 inch tall version.
Well, we did.
Yeah, we already did that.
Oh, we did that?
Yeah, well, that was last time
was last
around,
week?
right. They asked for a variance on the,
I'll make a motion for a compromise, at an 18-inch. Everything stays the same except an 18-inch ladder.
anybody gonna second that?
Nope.
Okay, then that motion falls.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you very much.
we're stuck with, yeah, thank you. All right. Where'd my thing go now? How can I lose stuff?
I don't know, I'll let you use my agenda.
Okay, consideration of sign permit for El Norte at 303 Waukegan Road. And, yeah, you folks are all good to talk. Did you? So, just for the record, state your name and,
Thank you. I'm Jay Cash. I'm the owner of Sinorama in Libertyville, and these are the owners of El Norte.
Liz Vasquez?
Diego Lasso?
okay. So, this is pretty self-explanatory, but why don't you explain it, because, just briefly.
So what you're looking at right now, you all have the rendering in front of you?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
And in keeping in a pretty good limelight with Panera Bread, we've chosen a very luxurious look of a pan sign coupled with channel letters. What's nice about the pan sign is you actually don't see any electrical wiring, and the colors involved, I think, really enhance the building and show nicely. I know that we had an opportunity to email Mike some variations of pan signs that we have done previously, and that's, I think with Mike's blessing, we decided to go this way. Is that a good way of saying it, Mike?
I've included the illustrations you sent me, showing how the pan sign looks here, the photo of the other sign in the packet.
so this is the kind of sign you're talking
Yeah.
about.
When you say pan sign, it's got
So
this
the pan is the
back.
background
It's
piece.
the
Yes, sir.
back. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
And the letters stand proud of
All
that.
right,
Correct,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
exactly.
okay,
Is that what the Panera one is too?
no.
No, is the Panera one a wood sign there?
You know, the Panera letters are silver, do you remember,
Yeah,
Liz?
they're made of wood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So it is.
But is it letters standing out from the back?
Yeah,
It-
they're
Yeah,
on
but
So
the-
it is,
I think it's externally illuminated though, isn't it?
I don't
Panera?
see
I don't
lights
know.
in the photo.
We were just there and we were actually wondering the same thing and they had no illumination on their.
Hey, Carol, I think you were thinking they would do the gooseneck thing, because some Paneras do that.
I think their exterior sign on the north side of the building is illuminated.
With gooseneck.
The one facing Waukegan.
Yes.
Facing
Yeah.
the-
Okay.
I think that one is illuminated.
Okay, Carol,
I-
thoughts? Or
As
is it-
far as illumination, I see on the ground a light shining up at the building. Maybe that illuminates the whole front facade of the building, sign included.
A little rough when you're walking out of the
Yeah.
building.
Mike, are
Right.
there any variances or anything unusual about what?
So rooftop signs are listed as a prohibited sign type in the code. So these signs have been getting a variance each time
I see.
tenants go out for rooftop signs.
Yeah.
I don't know that, when the code was written with rooftop signs, it was necessarily looking at this idea. It was more like, you flat building and you put a sign on top.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And I think that's why we
Yeah.
probably made that adjustment. Am I right? Does that make sense to you?
Makes sense. I remember discussing this the first time Gockies split into the two signs. They were going the length of the roof. It was like
Very big.
50% bigger.
Yeah.
And I thought they did have goosenecks originally on
Well,
the
I think
signage.
Gockies maybe originally did, but I don't know about anybody else that,
Yeah, I meant to get out there after dark and did not. It's getting easier and easier to get out after dark,
Yeah.
but I didn't manage to get there after
Is that
dark.
what you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have any, you asked, I don't have any specific challenges or issues with this sign that is about your submission. I mean, I think it's a fine sign. You have a short name, you get to have big letters, yay! You know, compared to longer names, it can make a really huge difference in visibility. And this corner does have a little bit of visibility issues that we've heard about because of the landscaping around the
Right.
side. The only anxiety I have is that the Panera sign is going to be so inconsequential by comparison with this. This is such a bold sign, and it's not a problem you can solve or you
You know,
should be
with-
asked to solve, but
with both
Panera's
of
gonna
these
be
things,
lost.
Everybody knows where they all are. I can find you all in the El Norte, restaurants around.
This is true. We all know how to find El Norte.
Okay, so you have no issues, that's your sign?
No, I think it's,
Ed?
I don't have any issues either.
Yeah.
Are you contemplating another sign on the north side?
We were
On the east
on the
side,
east side.
so
Well,
facing the
you've got-
grocery store, it's solid building.
You've got southeast and north,
Right, so facing the grocery store?
no facing the street.
Oh, no, we're not looking at anything facing.
Just because of the
Just
trees,
because
there's,
the
You couldn't see
landscaping,
anything
like
no
you
matter
said,
what
it
was
would
there.
be-
No.
And then the other one facing the grocery store?
Well,
Noodles
in the
at a sign.
future, we're gonna possibly bring up something for your consideration to see, so somebody can see it from the parking lot. Because if you're in the parking lot, you won't know it's there unless you're driving around the front of the building. There's no benefit of street size, because the trees are there. There's no benefit of the Waukegan side either, the same reason, plus that's Panera's building. So in the future, we may present something on the east side.
How many El Norte restaurants are there?
Well, how many
This
does
would be-
Liz know,
This would be
Diego?
the 11th store.
11th,
wow.
nice.
Then I can't find all of them.
You should, they're all good.
Well, I spent some time at the other one, so I'm very happy that you're coming here.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's-
Liz,
it'll-
did you start this business?
We did, and I was one of the first owners in Mundelein.
She was 20 years old
I
when
was
she did,
20.
when she
Wow.
started this.
That's awesome.
Wow. What a great
Nice.
story.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Ed? Neil, did you have a comment? Ed?
No more?
No, we're good.
We're good, okay, somebody make a motion.
A motion to approve as submitted.
Do you have a second?
Second?
Good, okay, we'll keep up doing the roll call.
To recommend approval to the village
Yeah.
board. Okay, Member Russ,
Aye.
Member Dahlman,
Aye.
Member Deegan,
Aye.
and Chair Hunter.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you all very much for your
so
time.
when are you gonna open up?
As soon as possible.
So we have a liquor meeting to
The
go to the
22nd of this
22nd.
month, and we're trying to get it expedited since, because of Columbus Day. We can't go to the next one, so because there's so much lead time, we're gonna try to see if they can get all the background check done early, and then if we can,
Have you
as long as
started
we-
working in there?
No, we haven't.
We started, all it really needs is furniture and equipment and supplies, so as far as, and it's just
Sounds like
a
the whole
nice
deal,
basic
though.
stuff.
Furniture, equipment, and supplies.
That's all.
Yeah,
And customers.
yeah, and customers.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys- hopefully
We're
we'll
just
see you
gonna, I
there.
mean, do paint, we have to paint and,
We're
Exciting.
excited,
Okay.
yeah, we're really excited. Yeah.
Great,
Congrats. Yeah, it's exciting.
Thank you all very much.
Okay.
Appreciate
appreciate
your
it,
time.
thank you.
okay, now we're internal stuff here.
Right. Yeah, well, so because it's a variance, it's a recommendation that goes to the next village board meeting for final approval, and then I can, yep, will do,
Thank you.
sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Got
on block one, the tree planting areas have had these probably granite stones in their raised planting areas above sidewalk level, so they take up, space that people could use for walking on and or something that people could trip over. And with all the outdoor dining and all the activities going on the block, the village decided, we'd really want to have that space available for people to walk on and not have hazards out there that people can trip over. So we'd like to go with tree grates that are flush to the sidewalk level. And we've chosen a grate here for your consideration. We hope it's a great grate.
You've been waiting to say that all day.
That was a loaded, yeah.
So it looks like the grade is not as deep from curb to building. It looks like it's a stretched rectangle compared to the one that's square in the photo. Is that true? Do we know how the trees will do with a change in shape like that?
Well, we're gonna take these trees out and replace them because the existing trees are set higher than the sidewalk and there's no way to lower them other than to take them out and put new trees in.
Really?
Yeah,
Those were pretty nice. What are those, pear trees? They're pretty nice trees.
yeah.
Actually, the trees don't look like they're doing real well, the ones that are there. I was over there with my wife the other day, who knows a lot about trees, and she said these are doing poorly. She wonders if it's poor soil under there or if they weren't put in right in the first place with adequate dirt underneath.
Well, we'll have a chance to check it out when we take them out.
The ones closest to the corner, well, the question is if you replace them and there's still bad soil down there, the new tree isn't gonna do any better.
Right, we'll have to dig it all out and make sure there's good soil down there.
Yeah, the ones
Yeah.
closest to the corner seem better than the ones that are furthest away, furthest
Yeah,
toward the
okay.
train station.
Okay.
Anybody have any thoughts on the idea of the grate?
I don't have any problem with it.
Hmm?
I think it's fine. I mean, I've been over a gazillion times and tripped over those, stones.
Yeah, Public
Oh,
Works
so
must
I
really
think
hate them.
that-
Public Works hates it, you know, I mean, it seemed like a good idea at the time, because we had some on the other side of the street, and we were gonna do this elsewhere, if you remember right. And,
The problem is every block party you have,
but you
The-
know, we didn't have those then, and so, I mean, I can still
True,
make the argument that our sidewalks are not public anymore. But, you know, I'm gonna lose that one, I have been,
yeah,
so.
well, that's what happens over time. Here, pass it down.
They're heaved up,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking I walked
I mean,
around
it's
today in
maintenance, though.
some
Yeah.
other cities looking at them and found about 3 or 4 of them that are like that. And I went
Yeah, we'll
by
have to-
some areas where there are restaurants,
Right.
and in the drawing here, they show putting, you know, chairs on them. It looked to me like none of the restaurants were willing to do anything like that, because they're concerned, I think they're concerned about a chair or a person getting stuck in the openings in the
Right,
grate.
we tried to choose a grate that has very small
Looks like pretty
openings.
small openings.
Yeah, to reduce
think
that
that-
problem.
I think the grate in the picture is the same one as this.
Oh, you think so?
You know, the grate in the
No, it
picture is
looks
sort
like
of a
smaller
Photoshop
exposure,
montage
Neil,
of
Does it?
stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it definitely looks like a smaller exposure.
Yeah, look at the spec sheet on the next page, Neil.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
The, in this corner, right under that stone right there, there's a pretty good-sized electric box on almost all of these, so there's gonna be a concern of, when you take this up to do it, somebody's gotta move the electric box.
Right, yep, we know that.
Yeah, they, a lot of the bluestone that's out there is already flaking and deteriorating, and I don't know why, whether it's because of salt going on it, or,
I think so. I think it is salt.
Salt and shovels.
because if we, in adding new bluestone in the middle, there's no way it's gonna match what's existing. What's existing, it doesn't look good anymore.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the issue of the existing concrete that's all cracked, you know, it's,
Now you're talking about a big project.
oh, yeah, my thought
He
is
just
replace the
tripled your
whole
budget,
sidewalk.
No,
You just tripled your budget.
if you remember the concrete, that was a special mix.
Yep,
And when it cracked down at the corner, and they just put in regular Merrimack exposed gravel.
well, I don't think they put a good base under it, and I don't think they compacted it,
But
and then they poured, the pores were too big.
Right.
so, but question on the table is, are we okay with tree grates in lieu of the stone surround?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I like the idea of fixing it and getting rid of the tripping hazard,
Okay.
but I'm not in favor of the
We're
solution.
okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
Thanks.
sad
We
about
don't
the
need a
trees.
formal motion, but I
No.
understand your point, Neil, and I'll bring it up with them about the bluestone, not matching potentially. I'll
But
see
it
what
would
they
match
can
better
do
than
about
if they
that.
decide to start picking out some brick and just doing that, so.
Uh-huh.
No, you don't want a third material, so
No,
either you
so-
do a wholesale replacement or you,
Well, that's not
Or
gonna,
you change it all to
Yeah.
concrete, right?
we made a real conscious decision when we
That's gonna be
did
more
not
money.
do the brick.
that's
Yeah.
gonna be more than the bluestone for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Or you do
sure.
it like that and put mulch in the
Yeah.
middle.
The one advantage you have to the bluestone is if it does heave, you pull it and
put
you,
another one
and you
in.
adjust it, right?
Uh-huh,
Whereas
right.
the concrete, as soon as it cracks, you have to jack it out, and you, I mean, it's a way bigger deal, so I
Yeah.
think the bluestone is the way to go.
Okay,
Yeah, I do too.
okay.
Okay, so you're good with that?
Okay, yep, thank you for those comments. So then the Walnut House, paint colors, I have some samples to pass out to you. There you go, Carol.
Are you gonna re-roof that?
No, not anytime soon. So that's, can you pass those down for Ed and Neil to share,
Until I
and then you
look
and I
at it.
can share these
Oh,
three?
okay.
Okay.
None of those is the color I was thinking of.
So, I mean, what I was thinking of is any of the bottom three on these samples. So there's, you know, we've got a white building, and we've got the shingles are red and a warm gray. It's more of a mix than it really shows in the photograph. There's a lot of warm gray shingles and red shingles there. And this building has a twin right around the corner. That building, you know, the walls are also painted white, but the trim is painted black on that.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a different shingle color, isn't it?
Well,
It
it's a
is.
house.
It is a different, it's
house,
more of a
yeah.
brown shingle, I
Yeah.
think. More of a dark brown gray. So we could possibly go with the Narragansett green, which is the darkest green, which would be somewhat similar to the black on the neighbor. Or we could go with the stone, the very warm gray. Or we could go with another shade of green, such as the bottom of the other green that's more of a gray green. What do you guys think? Or you could make other suggestions, of course.
What did I say I wanted to make it? Moss green?
You did. And we want the house to stay white as long as you're throwing it open.
To stay what?
It's gonna stay white?
White,
It's
yeah.
being
mhm.
painted?
Oh, yeah,
The house
yeah.
is
You know,
being
what's the
painted?
worst
Yeah,
thing
we're
about that
painting it
house?
all, it'll
Is
be
all the
white.
paraphernalia that's beside it, the wires and the poles and the meters and it really is kind of tacky from that side.
Right. One thing we're doing is putting in a new electrical service, and we're taking the old service off the north side of the building, which means the service will no longer hang across the front of the building. And instead, it'll be an underground service to a pedestal on the east side, so that'll be always out of sight. If we ever cut down the bushes on the north side of the building where the service is, that whole north side will be, you know, unobstructed with no utilities on it.
When is
So-
this getting done?
The electrical service? In
Yeah.
the next couple days, I hope.
Oh, and they're gonna move it to the east
painting is
side.
gonna be done in October.
In
I hope.
October.
Yeah. mhm. Yep.
So the colors that we're looking at, you said use the stone. What was your vision for the stone? It was gonna be,
This is a window trim color we're
Window trim,
selecting. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so where the green is on the window trim right
Yeah.
now. So,
so that's one option.
Right.
The second option is, you said the bottom,
right, the
Of-
bottom green, yep,
so
the
that's the-
Narragansett green.
yeah, okay,
Right.
and then the other one was
The bottom on that one too is
Knoxville gray or whatever. Is that right?
yes, that is right,
Yeah,
Sure, that looks more green than the green.
yeah, it does, doesn't it?
right.
I don't have a strong opinion. Carol, do you?
No, I think they're all fine. There was, you know, that old green that's on there has, you know, it's just pleasantly antiquated for, you know, somewhat in character with that homely building, but other than that, any color is fine, I think. Bob, you said moss green, and it
You know,
was
I
not
was-
any of these?
I was,
I wouldn't do this gray. I sort of feel like that's not appropriate.
Okay.
Which
no, I
one is
wouldn't
the
do the gray, I wouldn't do the one you got your finger on, the dark, because that's too much like black.
Yeah,
That, I could live with, I'd like a little more green than that.
black is very in vogue right now.
I know, when you got it all over town.
I do, in just a couple houses, that's it.
White house, black windows. I'm gonna paint my house black and have white windows.
There you go. See, you set the new trend.
Yeah, okay, where are we? Anybody care?
So what are Neil's comments?
So your comment
I'm
is,
comfortable with this one right here.
yeah, I like that too.
Which
So
one is
that
that?
would be the Knoxville gray.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I'm
great,
okay with that.
yeah, okay.
I'm not okay with the roof color, but we're not talking about that, so.
Yeah, well, we'll change that someday, but it may be a
We
while.
should put the train station shingle on there.
Yeah.
What is the, what's going on with the library?
They're gonna go with shingles.
Good, okay. Do we have anything else?
They're gonna do the same. Nope, I
He's
think
gotta
that's
go.
it. Okay.
Brian Renner also commented that he hopes we'll take another look, you mentioned it last month, a look at the firehouse lights, because he's very proud of the fact that they can be bright for Tuesday night training, and then they can
They're
dim them
very
down.
cool.
They can dial them
good.
down?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, they're cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah, so they can blast the apron when they need to, and
That's
right,
awesome.
yeah. Well, it's set, 2 switches, so each switch covers every other light there. So you can have all 4 on in the front,
It's pretty
or
neat.
just 2, and same in back. You
I
can
never
have 4
got
or
my
2.
red and green lights out there, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
I-
Anybody
6
have
minutes.
anything else?
Motion to,
I'm gonna,
motion to close the meeting?
yeah, adjourn.
Adjourn the meeting.
Anybody else, second on the
you
motion?
bet.
Okay, we're done.
Cool.
Okay,
We didn't even go.
Thanks, guys.
yep,
Thank you.
sure.
Still busy?
I'm steady, I'm trying to reload now.